Good morning, gentlemen. Dosto, good morning. I'm going to talk to you on a very important subject today, and that is the likely East West conflict. It may look a little silly to talk this way, but the portents are very ominous. And part of it is engineered by America, Canada, and England. Basically, three powers because they were the ones who were dominating the world for a long time. And now they find that they are at the end of the tether. And the countries which are now likely to come up, already China is in the thick of taking over the leadership of the world. And then there's the rise of India. And this is the crucial point. The Western powers feeling the loss of hegemony. They were the ones who were dominating the world. And there was a time, when the entire African continent was absolutely carved like a knife by these people. Well, gentlemen, that situation has changed. If you remember, there was a convention held in Paris, I think, in 1884 or something like that, where Africa was carved up and there was no representative of Africa sitting there, and though the American representatives were there. Other country which they are really scared of is Russia. Now, why they should be scared of Russia again is something which I have not been able to fathom. But मुझे लगता है कि वो रशियन से बहुत घबराते हैं. Because throughout history, Russia has dominated the eastern part of Europe and last parts of Asia and Central Asia. The Americans had their plan because Russia broke up in 1992 into 18 countries and Americans ने तालियां मारी, अंग्रेज़ों ने भी. Well, our hegemony is intact as far as Europe is concerned. अब उनको डर पड़ रहा है इंडिया का. China तो उनके हाथ से निकल गया है. China is out of their hands and they don't know what to do with China. And they are trying all sorts of various activities, and one of these is to rope India as a protagonist against China to can fight the battle of the Americans and the British with China on their behalf. तो जब India is not playing ball, तो ये जो Americans and the Americans and British and Canadians and Australians, they are basically the white powers, the Anglo-Saxon powers. इनमें मैं फ्रांस को नहीं इंक्लूड करता बिकॉज मेरे ख्याल फ्रांस जो है थोड़ा सा इंडिपेंडेंट रास्ता अपना निकालना चाहता है. नाउ दे हैव ट्राइड टू कैच इंडिया ऑन द खालिस्तान इशू. इट्स अ वेरी सिली थिंग और आई हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड इट दैट वे. दिस इज ऑल नॉनसेंस. द अमेरिकन्स आर टॉकिंग अबाउट पन्नू हु इज अ नोन टेररिस्ट एंड दैट द इंडियंस आर मेकिंग एन अटेम्प्ट टू किल हिम. वेल सच अ मैन नीड टू बी एक्सट्रेडिटेड टू इंडिया एंड फेस ट्रायल. There's no question of killing him there. He should be brought to India and given punishment. But at the same time, when the Israelis go and kill another terrorist, that is Mr. Hanafiya in Tehran, they say it's okay, well done. So you have double standards. Terrorist is a terrorist, whether he's sitting in Tehran or he's sitting in America. And with the man who's sitting in America, you say, well, he is our man, and the man who's sitting in Tehran, you say, is a good thing, and he's been killed. So this is a double whammy which the Americans are following, and it's not going to succeed. You see, एक time था, if you remember, Battle of Zanzibar हुआ था, and within 2 minutes, the British fleet, उन्हें 2 cannon चलाई, and जो सुल्तान था Zanzibar का ही ran away. The battle was over, I think, in 2.5 to 3 minutes. वो सब बातें ख़त्म हो गई हैं. It's not going to take place. And the Americans and the British have to realize that they have now been cut to size. America has been losing its grip steadily over the world, and that is because of their own tactics. They have been removed. People like Imran Khan were removed by them, and they also carried out the insurrection, the revolt of the army in Bangladesh, and they ensured that Sheikh Hasina doesn't get any asylum in any of these countries which were friends of America. She wanted to go to London. London said no, and she couldn't get anywhere. And anyway, the Indians came to her rescue. Modi came to her rescue. Gentlemen, these are the tactics of the Americans basically, and they are trying to put pressure on India. And they have something called the Five Eyes, which are supposed to be intelligence agencies which they share. And as per the Canadians, they say, well, all the Five Eyes agree with them. I don't think so, because I don't think France is agreeing with them to declare India. And the foreign minister of Canada is talking nonsense. The other day she's saying that everything is on the table, including sanctions. Well, if you're going to put sanctions on India, you're going to cut your own nose. Canada has got an economy about 2 trillion. It's number 10 in the list, and they should be very, very careful. America has got a debt of, I think, trillions of dollars, and if they have to pay that debt at one stage, the American state will become bankrupt. So they should bear these things in mind. And it's about time that the Americans gave up their games, accepted the reality that India is an emerging power. But they are not doing that. And they want somebody to fight their battle in China. They had made all sorts of carrots they held for the Indians. They wanted to make India a member of NATO. They wanted India to have an alliance with them. Well, what for? There's no need. India will not fight the Chinese for the sake of the Americans, because the Americans themselves are incapable of fighting the Chinese. Let me tell you this. You may have technical superiority, all sorts of things, but you need the infantry soldier to hold the ground. And the infantry soldiers, उनके पास है नहीं, who's going to hold the ground? That's what Field Marshal Montgomery said. So the Chinese have got a very massive army. Not that it's a very efficient army or something, but at least they have an army that can be a threat, to the Americans and to the nations who are supporting America in the periphery of the South China Sea. So the Americans and the British in fact have been washed out completely, so they don't know which way the wind is blowing. And it's about time that Canada advised that this Khalistan bogey which they are creating is all nonsense, and it's incumbent on Narendra Modi to really bell the cat. There's nothing to feel scared of the Americans or something, or even of the Canadians. It's not easy seeing, it's not a joke. They are having their way in Israel. Look at the way 42,000 or 48,000 Arabs have been killed, and America doesn't bat an eyelid. They're congratulating Netanyahu for the killing of Sinwar. Of course, Sinwar was a terrorist. I have no sympathy with him. But I'm just pointing out the double standards of the Americans all over the world. Gentlemen, we are now reaching a stage here where India has to look in the mirror and decide what has to be done. One must remember that until you stand up and fight, you are likely to be pushed down. And this is what India must avoid. You have to show your mettle to the Americans. Gentlemen, I think I won't talk anything more on this topic. I hope you like this video. Please share it with your friends and come back for more. In the meanwhile, the battle is continuing, I think. I would say it's a battle. The Americans must be wondering what the hell are you going to do now, because India is not playing ball with them. And now they could come up with some other scheme, maybe try and thinking of removing Mr. Narendra Modi, because they got a lot of supporters in India, stupid people hanging around here and there, and among them we have got Rahul Gandhi, and then there's so many other people, I see some of their tweets on X, the new channel in place of Twitter, and I find it's absolutely obnoxious. There's a chap called Bhushan, the lawyer, and he's talking also nonsense. So many other people. Rajdeep Sardesai, I thought he's learnt a lesson after he made that false report about a man being shot dead during the farmers' agitation. But he doesn't seem to have learnt anything, and he continuing the same way. So we have to look at the fifth columnists inside India also. The Indian government must see to it that the fifth columnists are not allowed to have a ball and continue in their way, and they have to be countered. There's no other way you can do it. And you have to face what America must. America just can't fight a war now. Let me tell you this, they are sapped into Ukraine. They miscalculated badly in Ukraine. And the war's continued for 2 years. Russia has taken a lot of Ukrainian territory. But they think everything is Sunday. If they could hold on to the Russians, they could probably tie down the Indians in a conflict in Kashmir or something, and instigate Pakistan to attack India or do that. Everything is not honky-dory, it's not something current, right? And इनको बहुत केयरफुल रहना पड़ेगा अमेरिकन्स को कि ये कल को किसी दूसरे नेशन के नीचे ही न चले जाएं. So, same thing with Canada. Canada, remember, the 90% of its territory is unlivable. बर्फ के टुंड्रा है and all that. That has gone to irrelevance. What are they going to do there? There's a small belt only which is productive, and America has limitations of population growth, limitations of area, and it's going to be very terrible for Canada if they persist in such activities of trying to malign India with the Khalistan issue. The Khalistan issue, as I told you, is not a very big issue at all. I think not more than 1 or 2% of the Sikhs abroad are thinking about it. They have got better things to do. But at the same time, we have to be very, very careful, that it should not get out of hand. And now situation is really very bad as far as Canada-India relations are concerned. But then I will repeat again, is instigated by the Americans. That's part of the game. Goodbye and